Yep, this camp pretty much still sucks. But now that I'm here, I guess I might as well actually try to win.
Hello everybody, I'm Coco Cosmos and today we'll be taking a look at total drama character, Gwen. So, let's talk about Gwen. Almost everyone's favorite goth girl, until they completely ruined her character later on in the series.
I hate you! I hate you!
Let's start from the beginning. Gwen is first shown in Total Drama Island as a cold, broody goth girl that warms up slightly to guitar boy Trent, and also to be aesthetically close to punk boy Duncan. She insults and acts rudely to a few of the campers at some point, including but not limited to Lindsay and Harold. It gives the impression that she feels superior to everyone except Trent, who she starts to bond with during a no-sleep challenge. As the season progresses though, it turns out she's not all that bad and she forms bonds with a lot of her fellow castmates as well. During her time on the show, she doesn't keep her crush on Trent a secret, therefore leading to their very first kiss. Unfortunately, Heather uses that closeness to her advantage and ends up kissing him at a dock, tricking Gwen. While Gwen is upset, it ends up with Trent getting kicked off because it hurt her feelings, even though Trent explains the situation. Gwen ends up feeling guilty because he's eliminated. She does end up in the finale though, after her and Owen gang up on Heather in the Triple Dog Dare Challenge. By the finale, Trent tries to do everything he can to get her to forgive him and go on a date with him.
Say you'll go out with me. Come on, say it.
Okay, I'll go out with you.
Cute couple, right? And here comes action to derail it a bit. In action, her and Trent's relationship starts to falter.
What will tomorrow hold for Gwen and Trent?
Gwen's friendship with Duncan makes Trent uncomfortable. It's super noticeable when they've been placed on separate teams. He's super paranoid about it, and honestly, I can't blame him.
Not pretty, okay, Duncan? You're hot, okay? You look hot, sexy, stud-like.
When he starts using the number 9 for everything, Duncan points out that his and Gwen's name have 9 letters. Gwen gets the ick and starts double guessing everything. Trent gets advice that Gwen is ignoring him because she wants to win and throws the next challenge. But Duncan also made a fair point.
You're giving yourself way too much credit. If Trent has that many screws loose, you didn't unscrew any more of them.
She does end up discussing this with him and wants him to never do that. Props to her for keeping things fair. In the end, they do break up and points out one of Gwen's flaws: communication. She did give reassurance at the time, and I give her that, but she could have just asked about his weird behavior, because he was convinced that he was doing the right things. After this happens, and Justin overhears that Trent was throwing challenges, Trent gets voted off, and Gwen is indebted to Justin's team, which leads her to throw challenges. This gets her eliminated as well, thus initiating the downfall of Gwen's character. Between seasons, Gwen is shown on the Total Drama Aftermath show and behaving questionably whenever Duncan is mentioned. Like this, for example. And this later on.
Courtney is totally nuts letting Duncan get away like that. He is the best thing that ever happened to her. I mean, look at the guy, he's hot. I mean, he's okay for her.
Everyone gives her hate, but Trent insists that they're amicable. And to her credit, she's learned that being upfront with someone is important. But then that reverses somehow in World Tour. Even her online beef with Heather is publicized. Starting in the very first episode of World Tour, there's flirtatious tension between Gwen and Duncan. It's pretty subtle, but Duncan decides to quit because he doesn't want to sing anymore, so there's no interaction until later on. In this time though, Gwen and Courtney shift from frenemies to friend-ish, but that changes when Duncan ends up back in the game during the London Challenge, which is arguably the point where Courtney, Gwen, and Duncan's characters all downgrade. Focusing on Gwen specifically though, she notices the longing stares and the flirting between her and Duncan, but it's all done behind Courtney's back. Now to me personally, it's a gray area if Courtney and Duncan were even dating at this point, so when the kiss actually happens, it's more upsetting that Courtney was trying to make it work with Duncan, so it's still a betrayal.
I don't know what happened, but I have no regrets.
For real? or because you know who doesn't know yet?
From that point on, Courtney, Sierra, and Heather turn on her, labeling her a boyfriend kisser with a song to match.
Boyfriend kisser, I thought she was my friend, but now it's time to diss her.
Courtney starts throwing challenges just to get Gwen kicked off. Putting Duncan and Gwen together was one of the worst moves for the show in my opinion, because like I said before, it only made sense aesthetically, and they clearly weren't interested in each other romantically. They had platonic chemistry and that was fine. Our conflict was stirred up or exaggerated just for this to happen. It also made it seem like she didn't care for anyone else's feelings. Specifically somebody she would call a friend. After Gwen makes her return in Total Drama All-Stars, she's upset about being put on the villains team due to the mentioned offense and Courtney still being mad at her.
After 3 seasons of kindness, I'm reduced to evil kisser status? For the last time, Duncan and Courtney were over before he and I started. You can't steal a boyfriend if the boy is free!
Now this particularly is why I said it was a gray area, because during World Tour, everyone was sure they were dating, and now they weren't. If Gwen was so confident about that they weren't, why was she so hesitant about Courtney finding out? Because she still betrayed Courtney, and this betrayal still feels fresh. She claims she did nothing wrong, but is still trying to get Courtney's forgiveness, which makes things worse. Duncan then starts trying to get Courtney's attention again, which upsets Gwen enough to break up with him. During the actual competition though, she gets upset with her team for not working together, but wondering if she's being too mean. She notices that Heather and Joe are trying to manipulate her because at the time Duncan hung on to her words. She gets excited at the fact that she now has power. Heather also comments on how Gwen is sneakily sabotaging Courtney with her kindness. Duncan shares the sentiment and gets upset, like a true villain. Courtney and Gwen's bond does start to mend. Courtney overhears Gwen confessing that she only came back to Total Drama so she can make things right with Courtney, but she doesn't trust her just yet. Gwen starts to help Scott after he gets knocked out in the boxing challenge, which Courtney allows. Courtney and Gwen have to fight each other in the boxing challenge, and when they didn't want to, they're shown a video of Gwen kissing Duncan, which makes Courtney upset enough to fight. After the round ends, they both apologize and they're friends again. Gwen also develops a friendship with Zoe, which makes Courtney kinda jealous. Also paranoid that Zoe might tell Gwen about kissing Cameron while she's dating Scott considering their history. Gwen finds out by Courtney mentioning it accidentally and gets upset about it. But things take a turn when Gwen finds out Courtney actually made an elimination list where Courtney was planning on taking Scott to the final 2 and not her. The friendship is now definitely over because she feels like Courtney was being insincere. Gwen does get targeted because of Courtney's elimination, but in the end she gets eliminated for putting bear poop on Chris's painting. Is Gwen a team player? Yes, mostly. She did do her part in challenges, was an occasional leader, and also kept her friendships with Lashana, Bridget, and DJ in those situations. In World Tour, when everything went downhill, she still tried her best to be a team player, but after the incident, it just went down from there. Is she intentionally malicious? I would say no. Even in her first appearance, she appeared cold and moody, but she was open to people, to an extent. She was harsh, but a private person. Later on in the series, she opened up more, and that showed her actual personality. Is she a good character? I would say she's okay. A pretty well-rounded character. In the beginning, she was a very good character, and yes, personalities change, but hers did a perfect 180 into a hypocrite. She basically became everything she seemed not to be, like not caring from what people think to absolutely caring what people think. She also went from this loyal, trustworthy person to someone that kisses your significant other, which is someone I did not pick her to be. No character is perfect though, so I think overall she's well-rounded. In the last season where she makes an appearance, her personality is much different than before, and it's even exaggerated a bit, which can be argued for everyone else in All Stars as well. But her in particular, it's noticeably different. Here's my final rating. This isn't to say I hate Gwen as a character, she's still one of my favorite characters. I just noticed that there was a decline, like a visible, noticeable difference between one half of her appearance and the other. In her earlier seasons, she made a lot more sense, considering what her archetype was supposed to be, than in the latter. Consistency was definitely off, but still a very good character in my eyes. That was my total drama character analysis for Gwen. Comment below if you want me to do a different character in any of the total drama seasons. Like and subscribe too. Coco Cosmos out.